Well, hey, you can't win every single game. Obviously, we want, as Eagles fans, we always want the Eagles to win, but we got to be realistic. We know it's not always going to happen. But hey, we're still going to come here. I'm going to talk about what happened.
Fasten your seatbelts for the realest Eagles Inspector YouTuber! One who plays no clickbait and gets to the point! The myth, the legend, Nikki Steves! Come to my channel, you know the deal, yo boy, always keeps things real. I'm simply statue, think they slate, dropping unrealistic match, 2K takes for the clip. Even though cats like that get views closer to the millie, never hear me preach, flip on to Philly. Before you watch the Eagles all the way through the early 22, authentic talk, forget what others do. Come to my channel, you know the deal, yo boy, always keeps things real. The 24/7, 365 way, sports content for the reals that fill the day.
Hey, it happened though. I mean, week 16, we went into this hoping we could sweep the Commanders, extend that win streak to 11 games, but it didn't happen, man. It just, you know, it didn't happen. I'm not going to be necessarily mad about the fact that we lost the game. I'm not upset about the fact the Commanders beat us. It just, thing is, I mean, the only thing I'm really upset about is the fact that we lost Jalen Hurts for the game. But even then, we still played a competitive game. And, but now there's going to be some concerns because Jalen Hurts got left. He got put in concussion protocol early when we were moving down the field with him for the time that he played. And this offense was showing a spark. And then without him, we still moved the ball, but we couldn't get in the end zone once Kenny Pickett had to come in. We saw some of his limitations exposed. Now, on one hand, we still had good performance. The offense still played good, moved down the field, did its best it could, but we just couldn't get those touchdowns after Hurts left with the concussion. That's the one thing I'm disappointed with most. However, I mean, I hope that he's okay. Hopefully he'll be back next week. It looks like a long shot now, but we got to remember Zach Ertz left last week, and he still played today. So it is possible that Hurts could get cleared by next week against the Cowboys. But, against the Giants or the Cowboys. But, all right, it could get cleared next week. But, we'll have to see on that one. But with that being said, but yeah, but I'm not going to blame the fact that Hurts was out necessarily on the fact we lost, even though it did change our offense with Kenny Pickett, who's a lot less mobile and a lot more limited. Daniel Berry Sports, what is up? Thanks for stopping by in the chat. Hope you're having a great night. And, I mean, it did honestly change our offense because Kenny Pickett's an entirely different quarterback than Jalen Hurts. But, it happened. Hurts took a big hit. And, hey, that's one of the risks that come along with having a mobile quarterback. One of the benefits is you have a quarterback that can make plays both in the run and pass game. But one of the risks that come along with it, one of the cons is a higher chance of injury. Because the more mobile quarterback runs, the higher the odds they get hit. And it happens. That's the con of having more mobile quarterbacks in today's NFL. We've seen Lamar Jackson's had a few injuries for here and there from time to time. We've seen, we saw Michael Vick throughout his career get hit with the injury bug. We've seen it happen. So we know that, hey, we saw Jaden Daniels got an injury earlier in the season. Hey, Cam Newton's shoulder caused his peak to end early. So that is one of the risks that comes with having a mobile quarterback, is the risk of injury that comes on those plays. Hurts, moving, running with the ball. He took a hit, and then he took another hit again, and he was out for the rest of the game. And some people are going to say, well, maybe you should focus more on passing. But to be fair, when we look back at that play, let's think about it for a second. Let's take a look back at that play. They gave him a lane to run. He had a lane to take off and gain yardage. I don't blame him necessarily for taking it. It's just one of those situations of rotten luck where the guy gets hit and, he gets hit and he gets hurt. That's unfortunately what happened. And obviously it affected the game. We had to go the rest of the way with Kenny Pickett, and we saw he was not the same passer. I mean, you still had it helped that you had A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. A.J. had himself a nice game, 8 receptions, 97 yards. Smitty did have 6 receptions, but you guys probably saw the game, probably know what the but is. I'll get to that in a minute or two. And you saw, and especially in the second half, after that 21-point first quarter, we couldn't get in the end zone the rest of the way. We had to go for field goals the entire time. And that clearly had an effect on the outcome of the game, especially come fourth quarter time, where the Commanders outscored us 22-6 and ultimately won the game by a score of 36-33. It was the factor in this one. But I'm not going to be mad at the Commanders. I'm not necessarily mad at the fact we lost. I'm disappointed in the fact that our starting quarterback got hurt. But as far as the game itself goes, hey, we were on a 10-game winning streak. I mean, we were going to lose the game eventually. It would have been nice if it lasted longer. I was hoping that we could keep at odds of getting home field advantage in the playoffs. But we know that, it's a long shot. We know you don't have to have home field advantage to make a Super Bowl appearance or to win a Super Bowl. So I'm not counting us out just yet. And to be fair, the Washington Commanders, on the road, it's a tough game to play a division rival on the road, especially when you're the hot team of the league. Eagles are coming in. We're coming into this game with all the momentum in the world on their side. Obviously, hey, it's going to be a tough, it's going to be a tough game on the road against a division rival that's looking to topple you. And that's exactly what happened. The Commanders came in looking to topple the Eagles, looking for their first 10-win season since 2012 in RG3's rookie year. And guess what? They got it. So salute to the Commanders, man, for getting that 10th win and beating us in this one. I can't take anything away from them. But, hey, it happens. I mean, overall, it was a good game. Now, people are going to blame Devontae Smith for that drop at the end. And let's start with this. Obviously, that drop on third down, it was the biggest mistake on the offensive side of the ball. And Smitty himself has accepted responsibility for it, for not making the play, which is what you expect from a star player who makes a mistake. You expect him to just own up to it, admit he was at fault, and, okay, guys, I dropped that ball. That was my fault. That was a big play that we could have gotten a first down on, chewed out more time on the clock, and I didn't catch it. Because if he catches that pass on third down, then what's most likely happens is you get the first down, hit the 2-minute warning. Then you run the ball. Washington's forced to use a timeout. Run the ball again. Take it down under a minute. Jake Elliott kicks the field goal. And then Washington has very less than a minute to move down the field. But because that drop pass on third down, Washington had a lot more time to move down the field. And as a result, that gave them enough time to get down the field and score the game-winning touchdown. So, yeah, that one sucks right there. It's a shame that Devontae Smith, a reliable player who's always, has been an excellent weapon in the offense since his rookie year, made that mistake. But, hey, it happens. Even the best players have their bad moments. I'm not going to begrudge him for it. It's just one of those situations where a good player made a mistake. That's all there is to it. Now, with that being said, ironically, 2 of our 3 losses came when one of our top players dropped a pass on third down that could have gave us a fresh set of downs to help us chew more time off the clock. Remember week 2 against the Falcons, the Saquon drop And now today, Devontae Smith makes that drop. And like I said, we could have chewed more time off the clock, kicked the field goal with less than a minute, and give Washington less time. That could have changed the outcome of this game. But, it happens. Put it behind us. We can easily forgive Smitty because he's always a reliable weapon for us and just move on from it. But hey, at the same time, I got to give the Commanders credit too for this win because they played hungry and they stayed in the game. They had 5 turnovers and still beat us, which on one hand, they deserve credit for being resilient and not letting the mistakes get to their head. On the other hand, it's embarrassing for a defense that they turned it over 5 times and you still gave up over 30 points. So that's kind of a two-way street on that one. I mean, the defense, hey, we got to give them some flack. They didn't play a good game, especially in the fourth quarter. They gave up way too many yards. They gave up way too many points at the end. Even with those 2 interceptions earlier, the Blankenship interception, the C.J. Gardner-Johnson interception, the second half, especially that fourth quarter, and we gave up way too much. We did. And the defense, you have to go back to the drawing board and come up with a better game plan for next time because this didn't do it. I mean, with that being said, though, I got to give Jayden Daniels credit. He did play a good game against us. He threw 5 touchdowns. He ran for nearly 100 yards on 9 rushes. I can't be mad at him. Even, he didn't let the 2 interceptions we got on him get to his head. He still stuck to, he stuck to it. He did what he had to beat us. So I'm not mad at all, Jayden Daniels. I give him credit for playing a good game. And now the Commanders are at 10 wins on the season. So, I mean, we're still likely winning the division anyway, but it's a little bit closer, and there still is a probable chance. And Hardcore for All just commented, not enough points off turnovers. Exactly. That was one of the big factors as well. Like I said, the second half, we didn't get any touchdowns at all in the second half. We relied solely on field goals to cruise by the second half, and ultimately, that's what lost us, and that's what played a role in the outcome of this game. So, yeah, definitely a big factor. We didn't, because once, Jalen Hurts was out, Kenny Pickett, with him, we only got so far down the field. It's a shame because Saquon Barkley had a 150-yard game off 29 carries. He had himself an excellent game on offense, and it's a shame instead of that. But I do feel like that's all right. I got to at least give him credit. He did play a good game, and he played a factor in keeping us in it as well. And we got to give shout out to Saquon, another MVP-like performance. But that's another discussion for another time about the MVP. Let's stick with the game. But yeah, definitely, we got all those turnovers, but we weren't getting points. And that played a factor. And as a result of us not getting enough points, it led to the defense spending a lot of time on the field. And then come the fourth quarter, Washington took advantage of it. And that does play a factor in it too. Defense having to do a lot of work being on the field you're a good chunk of time. Definitely big factor. But at the same time, man, you still got to be able to shut them down. Sure, you got all those turnovers, but we gave up 36 points to them. You can't. So, hey, we got to hold our defense accountable for that right there. We got that interception, and yeah, we should have possibly could have gotten a touchdown if it weren't for that Devontae Smith drop, but it happened. But at the end of the day, man, hey, all teams lose games at some point. There's a reason the Miami Dolphins, all those 72 Dolphin players get to bring out their champagne bottles every year because that's only a once-in-a-lifetime feat. And they were the lucky team to accomplish it. But hey, Eagles we just got beaten this game. Is it over? No, of course not. Now, we still certainly got a shot at a Super Bowl run. Now, with Hurts, though, we still got to see what happens throughout the week with his status, whether he can play or not. At this point, it's unlikely he'll play next week, but we'll have to see as we get toward the ends of the week. Like in the Falcons game, just makes the road harder. Who knows if Jalen will be back next week. Hold on a second. Hold on a second, guys. But yeah, like I said, man. Yeah, but then hey, we'll see about Jalen Hurts whether he's back or not. But it is what it is, man. But as of now, we still got to take it day by day, see what happens. Now, obviously, that's going to have an effect on us with because the offense with Hurts and Pickett are two different offenses. Jalen Hurts, has a strong arm. He can throw the ball downfield. He also is a mobile quarterback who can move. Kenny Pickett is not that guy. The reason the Steelers gave up on him as a starter is because they knew he wasn't a long-term answer. He's limited in the passing game. He doesn't really have much of an arm. I mean, his small hands do play a factor in it, but when you're a quarterback in the National Football League, you think your hands ought to at least be medium-sized or big. I mean, I'm just saying. But, Kenny Pickett's a lot more limited as a passer. He's the type of guy you can skate by with games if you have the right talent. If you have the right running back in Saquon Barkley, the right receivers in Hurts, or not Hurts, excuse me, right receivers in AJ, Smitty, even Goddard to some degree. You got those guys there. Yeah, you can skate by certain games with Kenny Pickett as the quarterback, but he's not the guy. Even with Hurts, we can call him overrated. You can say that he's a game manager. He's not an elite QB like Mahomes. He's good, but not that. That's a matter of opinion. You can say that's true. However, you see how much different this Eagles offense looks in terms of closing drives with Pickett. They still could move the ball downfield because of their talent, but ultimately they couldn't get in the end zone because of it. And Kenny wasn't even our worst issue today. So that plays a factor there for all the people that say Jalen Hurts is overrated. Well, now you see what it's like without him. But man, yeah. And then today, the biggest issue was on the defensive side, particularly in coverage, because with the run game, we stopped Brian Robinson Jr. We did a good job stopping him. But, Jaden Daniels, if you take away the 2 interceptions, Jaden Daniels was practically unstoppable against their defense, especially late. He had 2 touchdowns to Zach Ertz. Terry McLaurin got in on it. Jamison Crowder got in on it. I mean, he did a good, on one hand, it's a shame our defense played so poorly. But at the same time, I got to give props, though, to Jaden Daniels, like I said. He played a great game, and our defense wasn't ready for it. We didn't have we didn't play well in coverage, and ultimately, that's how they beat us. So on one hand, I got to give the Commanders credit for it. And we also let him burn us on the ground scrambling. Exactly. Absolutely. Right, because who was it again? Like I said, it was like 81 yards on the ground, averaging 9 yards per run. So he was dominating both in the passing and the run game. So now it's ironic I talked about with the Eagles. Today we saw one of the cons to the dual threat quarterback is higher risk of injury on hits. But for one of the strengths of it, one of the pros of it, more mobility both in the run and the passing game. And Washington did that effectively against us today. And Jaden Daniels' performance today proved the pro and showed us the pros of the dual threat quarterback. But ultimately, man, the defense did poor in this game. I mean, they got turnovers, but they couldn't capitalize. It was the weirdest defensive game I've seen from the Eagles, honestly. It's like, because when you hear 5 turnovers, you think, holy smokes, we must have had a great performance. Like if you have a fan who, I don't know, was stuck working somewhere all day and they're just getting home around 8 o'clock and they haven't looked at their phone, they haven't talked to anybody, they haven't seen any TVs yet. And first thing they hear is Eagles defense got 5 turnovers. When they, on the way home, say they turn on the radio, that's the first thing they hear. They're thinking in their mind, holy smokes, we got 5 turnovers. We must have won that game and kept them to under 20 points or maybe 21 at best. But then, you you hear, oh, wait, they gave up over 30 points and 5 touchdowns. Like, wait, what? We gave up 5 touchdowns, but had 5 turnovers. What? It's like they almost like that's like the weirdest game out there. But hey, it happens. Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. But oh man, our secondary, man, I don't know, Darius Slay, man. I don't know, man. I feel it. I mean, Slay, like I said throughout the season, well, he did have 3 pass deflections in this game. But he was all right. I mean, let's see. I mean, you had Cooper DeJean. We didn't really see anything spectacular from him. Throughout the season, Trotter Jr., I'm kind of giving up on Trotter Jr. It's like, it was a great feel-good story early in the season because, hey, we remember Trotter. He was one of the top linebackers for the Eagles. He was one of our key components of our defense in the 2000s. So it was a feel-good story. Now his son was playing for the organization. His dad became famous for playing. But now throughout the season, it's at the point now where I feel like the feel-good aspect of Trotter Jr. being on the team has worn out its welcome. Its luster's worn off. We haven't really seen anything from JT Jr. And it's like, I don't really see much this season from him. I don't. We know who your dad is, but it's not nothing special. Zach Bond, 11 tackles. He's having himself a good season all year long. He had 2 for a loss. He's been just solid all season. Zach Bond. Don't be surprised. He's getting a big payday this soon. Trust me. Reed Blankenship, he did all right. He had himself a decent game. He had a deflection. He did have 5 tackles. But all around, the coverage throughout the game, in the fourth quarter, everything just collapsed. The whole defense just collapsed in the fourth quarter, and we couldn't stop them. And that's ultimately what it comes down to as well. A fourth quarter collapse. Let's not forget that. Because early on in the game, first quarter, it was looking like we were going to dominate. Even with Jalen Hurts leaving, there was a little bit of worry, but even then at halftime, it's like, if we can at least stop them and at least score some points in the second half, we should have a shot. But that didn't happen. And that's another thing that stings about the Hurts injury, man. We were off to our hottest first quarter start of the season, man. We came out there, scored 21 in the first quarter, bro. You would have thought after the first quarter, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a great game. I was thinking it too. I'm thinking, we scored over 20 points in the first quarter. When was the last time we did that? Yeah, this season, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a great game. But obviously, it just didn't happen, man. But at the same time, I got to give credit to the Commanders. They made adjustments, and they did what they needed to win. So that being said, I'm not going to say anything bad about the Commanders. I'm the humble Eagles fan of the week. Washington Commanders, congrats. You got your 10-win season. You got your quarterback of the future in Jaden Daniels. And hey, we're going to have more big head-to-head battles, Jaden Daniels versus Jalen Hurts, to come. So you guys are lucky. You found your quarterback of the future. He had himself a good game. He didn't let the 2 interceptions get to his head. So from your guys' point of view, hey, this is a great game for you guys. This is something you guys haven't had in years. You're just hoping he doesn't get find himself in an RG3 situation where he gets an injury and it ends up altering your franchise. But for the Commanders, you finally found some semblance of hope for the future, something you haven't had in years, minus that one season with RG3. So I got to say, congrats to the Commanders. Got to give them a shout out. You guys did what you had to. You got your 10-win season. So congrats. And best of luck to you guys the final 2 weeks. Maybe we'll see you again in the wild card round, possibly. But we still got to see how the rest of the season, how it plays out these next couple weeks. So we'll see what happens about that, man. But real quickly, I think I said pretty much everything I was going to say. Check. Is there anything, real quickly, is there anything I missed? Before I go, I'm probably going to take a look at we'll take a look. I was going to take a look at the standings, see where the two teams are at, but is there anything else I wanted to say? So Jalen Hurts. Oh yeah, there was Josh Sweat left with an ankle injury, and Jordan Davis limped off. And then the worst part about it, then Pickett has to go undergo an X-ray of his ribs too. Let's not forget that. So if Hurts can't go due to the concussion, Pickett's either going to come into the game with ribs less than 100% when he's already a limited passer, which that would put us in an even worse scenario. But the injuries is the one thing that's going to, it doesn't look good as of now. I'll say that. But remember, it's still Sunday night. The game just ended a couple hours ago. That does not indicate anything in relation to whether or not, to what's going to happen next week. It's not even Monday yet. Let's just get through this week. Let's see what happens. And we'll go from there. Before I go, let's just I'm just going to do a real quick breeze through the scores real quickly. And then we'll head on out here for the night. Real quick breeze through, take a look at what happened. We got Cowboys and Bucks is coming up. We got Chargers beat the Broncos 34-27 in comeback. Kansas City won. Baltimore won. Falcons stomped the Giants. I mean, Giants fans, look. You can't say anything about the Eagles. I mean, I'm not really going to say anything about y'all, except for thanks for Saquon Barkley. Because, yeah, we know it's a joke with you guys, but we lost too. So I'll kind of leave you guys alone this week and just say, you guys got a lot of work to do for the future. Panthers beat the Cardinals. Oh, Bengals beating the Browns. Colts beat the Titans, and the Lions beat the Bears. Yeah, and the Vikings won. So let's not forget, Lions, Vikings, they're still tied for the division. So really at this point, it's a three-way race for home field between the Vikings, Lions, and Eagles. But I think the Lions-Vikings rematch, that'll determine who's winning that division. And I doubt the Eagles are going to get home field. We'll probably get the number 2 seed, but it is what it is. There was also a false start on the TD play at the end. Yeah, I did see that. Something did look a little bit off. And that certainly does play a factor. But at the same time, man, when you look at the amount of mistakes we made, that's not really an excuse. That's not. I mean, we had the opportunity to score points off turnovers. We didn't. Our defense let Jaden Daniels cook. So that's really not an excuse. It happened, but there were plenty of mistakes this team made throughout the game we could point to. Drop pass by Devontae Smith. Just a lot. A few fumbles by the Eagles. There's a lot of mistakes we could look at and say, the Eagles didn't play the greatest team game. We got to sharpen it up going forward. And hey, we got Mitch Skofsky stopping by. Thanks for your support. Thanks for stopping by. As always, I hope you had a great night. Obviously, the Eagles game wasn't the most fun game in the world, but at the end of the day, this was far from the worst game, though, too, man. But to everyone that stopped by, man, I really do appreciate your support, because without you guys, wouldn't be doing this right here. Without Mitch bringing me into the Hardcore Sports Network, I wouldn't be here. Without your guys' support, I wouldn't be doing these streams. So I got to thank you guys for your support, and I really appreciate it. That being said, before we go, just going to skim through. Let's see what the NFC standings are real quickly. AFC, Pittsburgh. Okay, so Eagles are, obviously in. Detroit, Minnesota's in. 49ers, Cardinals eliminated, yep. The main ones right here now are, Vikings, Lions, Eagles. We'll see where it goes from there. But with that being said, guys, again, thanks for your support. Appreciate it. It's only like Sixers. But hardcore for all, yep. But hey, guys, hardcore for all, Mitch, Harku, everyone that stopped by, thanks for your support. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night. Probably drop a few short videos. And until then, peace.